have a massive MVP debate in the National League. Pete Crow-Armstrong for the Cubs and Shohei Ohtani for the Dodgers. I don't think it's particularly close. It's not a legacy debate. It's not who could be better than Babe Ruth all time. That's not what it is. Okay, PCA, remember, he's the best defensive player in Major League Baseball, not just outfielder. He's the best defensive player, and that matters in baseball, right? Ohtani is a DH, and then he just occasionally pitches. He has not pitched since early July. We're now getting to late August. PCA is the only all-star for the Cubs, whereas Ohtani is on a stacked roster. So again, Ohtani doesn't play defense, and he pitches occasionally. This is going to come down to at-bats overwhelmingly, and defense, which Ohtani doesn't play. So when you watch the Cubs, this is the difference to me. And right now, PCA is the favorite. The difference to me is when you watch the Cubs, their speed, their power, and their defense all start with Pete Crow-Armstrong. He is the North Star. He has not missed a start all year. Never hurt. Best glove in baseball.
Underrated player you liked as a kid?
I don't even know if he was really underrated, but I think he gets somewhat lost in the shuffle of like the great Yankee, Red Sox teams of like the early mid-2000s. But Johnny Damon was like a big watch for me.
Yeah, dude.
But since we're in D.C., like Alfonso Soriano was like a big Cub favorite of mine.
He played the 1 year here, had the 40-40 season.
Yeah, they got the picture up in the concourse downstairs of him holding the base. But yeah, Soriano was a dog.
Yeah.
A dog.
What's your coolest piece of sports memorabilia that you have?
My Aramis Ramirez signed bat.
He's legend.
Yeah, my dad came home with it one day. Or I got a picture of me and Ken Griffey Jr. from the Futures game.
If you had to guess when they put lights at Wrigley Field, when do you think it was?
It wasn't too long ago. It was in the last 10 years, 15 years?
No, not that recent.
30 years? I would guess 30 years, yeah. That's a good question.
1988, so 36 years?
That's like 36 years.
Are Shohei Ohtani's chances of winning another National League MVP officially in danger? For most of the season, it seemed almost impossible to imagine anyone seriously challenging the Los Angeles Dodgers superstar. Ohtani has already won 4 MVP awards, all unanimously, and once again he has been putting up incredible numbers at the plate. But there is one major problem that could change the entire MVP race. Shohei Ohtani has not pitched since early July. And while Ohtani has been dealing with his knee issue, another superstar has been making an extremely strong case. Chicago Cubs center fielder Pete Crow-Armstrong has turned the 2026 season into a potential career-defining year. He is hitting for power, getting on base, stealing bases, and playing elite defense in center field. So now the biggest question is this: can Ohtani still hold off Pete Crow-Armstrong and win MVP number 5, or has the race officially become too close to call? Before we get into it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani updates. Let's start with the numbers, because this is where the debate becomes really interesting. Through 117 games, Shohei Ohtani is hitting .294 with a .390 on-base percentage, .558 slugging percentage, and a .949 OPS. He has already hit 30 home runs and continues to be one of the most dangerous hitters in all of baseball. Those numbers are absolutely MVP level. But Pete Crow-Armstrong is right there. The Cubs star has already gone past 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases while hitting .282 with a .381 on-base percentage, .555 slugging percentage, and a .935 OPS. When you compare the offensive numbers, Ohtani has the edge. His batting average is higher. His on-base percentage is higher. His slugging percentage is slightly higher. His OPS is also better. But MVP voting is not always just about who has the best offensive statistics. And that is where Pete Crow-Armstrong could have a major advantage. Crow-Armstrong is an elite defensive center fielder. Every game, he impacts the outcome not only with his bat and speed, but also with his glove. He covers enormous amounts of ground and plays one of the most demanding defensive positions in baseball. Ohtani, meanwhile, has spent most of the time as the Dodgers' designated hitter since his pitching shut down. And this is where the conversation becomes complicated. Earlier in the season, Ohtani was doing something that almost nobody else in baseball could do. He was dominating on the mound while also producing at an elite level at the plate. Before his knee problem stopped his pitching schedule, Ohtani was 8-2 with a 1.79 ERA and 95 strikeouts across 14 starts. Think about that for a second. This was not just a good pitcher who could hit. And it was not just a great hitter who occasionally stepped onto the mound. Ohtani was performing like an elite player in two completely different roles. That is why, earlier in the season, many people probably believed the MVP race was already leaning heavily in his direction. But baseball seasons are long, and MVP races can change quickly. Ohtani has now gone more than a month without contributing as a pitcher. During that time, Pete Crow-Armstrong has continued building his own case. And that has created one of the most fascinating MVP debates in recent memory. Some players around Major League Baseball reportedly believe that if Ohtani were still pitching, this would be his award to lose. That opinion makes a lot of sense. If you combine Ohtani's elite offensive production with an 8-2 pitching record, a 1.79 ERA, and 95 strikeouts, it is incredibly difficult to find another player who can match that total impact. But the question is whether what Ohtani did earlier in the season is enough to overcome what he is no longer able to provide. MVP is supposed to recognize the most valuable player during that particular season. And Pete Crow-Armstrong is giving voters an extremely complete season. Power? He has it. Speed? He has more than 30 stolen bases. Defense? He plays a premium position at an elite level. And offensively, his numbers are close enough to Ohtani's to make this a real conversation. That is why opinions around baseball are divided. Some believe Ohtani's two-way production earlier in the season gives him an advantage that nobody else can match. Others believe Crow-Armstrong's ability to contribute offensively, defensively, and on the bases every single day could ultimately push him ahead. And there is another factor that cannot be ignored. Ohtani only has 7 stolen bases this season. That is not necessarily a weakness, because his value comes from other areas, especially his power and his pitching. But compared with Crow-Armstrong, the difference in speed and base running is massive. PCA is impacting games in multiple ways almost every night. He can hit a home run. He can steal a base. He can take away extra base hits in center field. He can change the momentum of a game with his defense. That type of all-around production is exactly what makes an MVP candidate dangerous. Still, writing off Shohei Ohtani would be a huge mistake. Remember, Ohtani is still putting up better offensive numbers. A .29 for batting average, .390 on base percentage, .558 slugging percentage, and .949 OPS are elite. 30 home runs are elite. And even though he has not pitched since early July, voters cannot simply erase what he accomplished on the mound earlier in the season. Those 14 starts happened. The 8-2 record happened. The 1.79 ERA happened. The 95 strikeouts happened. The real question is how voters will weigh those accomplishments against the rest of the season. Will they see Ohtani as a player who delivered elite value both as a hitter and pitcher for a significant part of the year? Or will they focus more heavily on the fact that his injury has turned him into a one-way player during a crucial stretch of the MVP race? That could decide everything. There is also a bigger issue for Ohtani. If he is unable to return to the mound before the end of the season, Pete Crow-Armstrong will have even more opportunities to close the gap or possibly move ahead. Every additional home run matters. Every stolen base matters. Every spectacular defensive play matters. And if PCA finishes the season with numbers that continue to improve, voters may have an incredibly difficult decision. But if Ohtani can return to pitching, even for a meaningful stretch before the season ends, the entire race could change again. Imagine adding even a few more strong starts to an already dominant pitching resume while continuing to hit at an MVP level. That would remind everyone why Shohei Ohtani is unlike any player baseball has ever seen. So, are Shohei Ohtani's MVP chances at risk? Yes, absolutely. But is the race over? Not even close. In fact, this may be one of the most competitive MVP races Ohtani has faced in years. Pete Crow-Armstrong is not just having a good season. He is building a legitimate MVP resume with power, speed, offense, and elite defense. But Ohtani still has one enormous advantage in this debate. Even though his pitching has been paused, he already delivered dominant two-way production that PCA simply cannot replicate. That makes the final weeks of the season incredibly important. If Ohtani continues hitting at this level and possibly returns to the mound, MVP number 5 could still be within reach. But if his pitching absence continues and Pete Crow-Armstrong finishes with an explosive final stretch, we could see one of the biggest surprises in the National League MVP race. And that is what makes this so exciting. For years, Shohei Ohtani has made the impossible look normal. But in 2026, he may finally have a challenger whose complete all-around game is forcing everyone to take a closer look. So now I want to hear from you. Who deserves the 2026 National League MVP right now? Shohei Ohtani for his elite hitting and dominant pitching earlier this season? Or Pete Crow-Armstrong for his incredible power, speed, defense, and all-around impact? Drop your prediction in the comments below. And if you want more breaking Dodgers news, Shohei Ohtani updates, MLB debates, and everything surrounding this incredible MVP race, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because the race for MVP may have just become a lot more interesting.